Hey everybody, welcome back. Political recap. Today I want to talk about something that happened and that I think it deserves. And in the early hours, this happened Friday morning, Senate Republicans approved another $70 billion in funding for ICE and for Customs border protection. Now, on the surface, this might sound like a normal immigration funding bill, but I want to take a closer look at it because it raises a lot of red flags. Honestly, what exactly is all of this money being used for? Why are lawmakers being asked again to write another massive check when these agencies were already funded at historic levels? So, as we know, last year Republicans passed the Big Ugly Bill. That legislation provided roughly $191 billion to the Department of Homeland Security. That also included $75 billion for ICE and $65 billion for Border Patrol and CBP. According to analysts and people that are talking, that number was already several times larger than the agency's traditional budget, and it was designed to fund operations through 2029. It's 2026 right now. So Democrats, they argued that before Congress handed over yet another $70 billion, there should at least be some accountability and some reforms. Well, these reforms never happened. Instead, Republicans used the budget reconciliation process. This allowed them to bypass a Democrat filibuster and pass the measure with a simple majority vote. Again, fighting dirty. The Democrats need to step up. The Democrats did force a lengthy debate and offered amendment after amendment, forcing Republicans to go on record opposing a number of proposals that, polling suggests are popular with the public, but at the same time, there's so many questions about how previous funding has actually been spent. Where is this money? Where has it gone? There's reports indicating that tens of billions of dollars allocated for detention operations were used to purchase warehouses that were converted into these detention facilities. I know that one local government is now suing, alleging ICE paid more than 5 times the assessed value of a property. And this is their game. This is their grift. Let the rich get richer. And that's where the story starts getting bigger than immigration, because this isn't just a debate about borders. It's not a debate about oversight or transparency. This is about whether Congress is willing to ask the hard questions before approving enormous amounts of taxpayer money. There are also growing concerns about conditions, of course, inside the detention facilities themselves. ICE recently ended a policy that required the agency to investigate and report deaths occurring shortly after detainees were released from custody. There's people arguing that this policy existed to prevent agencies from avoiding responsibility simply by releasing anyone who was already gravely ill. At least 18 detainees have reportedly died in the first 5 months of this year alone. Meanwhile, Senator Andy Kim traveled to a detention facility in New Jersey, as we've seen, and he was prevented from even speaking with detainees despite Congress's oversight responsibilities. He described seeing women trying to get his attention and witnessing one detainee curled up in visible pain while officials refused to provide details about her condition. And this is not surprising. It's part of their playbook, the cruelty. And whether you agree with stricter immigration enforcement or not, oversight shouldn't be controversial. It's needed. And Democrats need to step up and enforce that. Government agencies spending taxpayer dollars should be accountable. Elected officials should be able to inspect facilities. It's our money. There needs to be oversight. And the public deserves transparency when billions of dollars are being spent in our name. What's striking to me is that the funding isn't just about today. By approving another $70 billion now, Congress is effectively locking in immigration enforcement funding well into the future. Even if control of Congress changes after the midterms, much of that money will already be committed. And that means future lawmakers will have far less leverage to demand reforms. This is why budget decisions matter so much. They're not just numbers. This actually shapes policy for years to come. It determines priorities. And this is going to really reveal what our leaders believe government should spend its resources on. What are we going to fight for right now? These funds are necessary to really hold accountability. And I want to say that there are people out there arguing that the same money could be used to secure border and enforce immigration law, but they're not going about it in the right way. There is the ability to take this same amount of money and invest it in childcare, in healthcare, in food assistance or housing, programs that could directly impact American families, and it's not happening. Regardless of where anybody stands politically, Congress is making decisions involving extraordinary amounts of money, extraordinary government power, and extraordinary long-term consequences. This is exactly the kind of thing we should all be paying attention to. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. Please like, subscribe, and follow. And I will see you the next time when we break down the stories that are in America's headlines right now, affecting each and every one of us. See you next time.